Hey guys, how's it going? Hey Lori. Hey cool gamer. So I was thinking tonight I'll read some more of those stories about out of the book Haunted London, and then maybe a couple Canadian ones where it's from the person's perspective. I think that'll be cool. I don't know. I love this book, and they're not like really really long, which is good. But they fascinate me. I'll tell you that. I'm echoing. Ew. Is that better? Hey Patricia. Am I still Am I still echoing? No echo? Okay. So I'm gonna read out of the Haunted London books. There's so many stories. I don't know. I really do find this fascinating. I haven't. I know I read this book, but I haven't read it in years. So a lot of it, it's like, oh yeah, that happened. And there's so many. Ouch. Okay, so this one is in St. Andrews by the Wardrobe, and the story on this place is called "Ask Not for Whom the Bell Tolls." I am still echoing. Okay, I'm gonna go out and come back in. Let's see if I can do that. Is this any better? No, I don't have anything open. So no more, it's gone? Okay, good. I find it so much easier now. If I'm going to do a video on KJ, or if I'm going to talk about her, instead of going live and getting like all stressed out and having to, like, I don't know what it is, going live about her, apparently I can't handle. But when I just do videos, they're like quick, they're nice and short and sweet. They're no longer than half an hour. Okay, so this first one, is in the St. Andrews by the Wardrobe, and this one is called Ask Not for Whom the Bell Tolls. The unusual name of this red brick church was built by Sir Christopher Wren in 1695, refers to its former proximity to the King's Wardrobe, a suite of neighboring buildings where robes of state and cloth for the royal household were stored. The buildings were destroyed during the Great Fire of London in 1666, after which the wardrobe was moved to Westminster. Yeah, right, Patricia. It's so much easier just to do a video and get over it, than go live and talk about it, and then other things pop up, and it's just I can't I can't do it if it's live because then it's too long for me. You know what I mean? So yeah, the videos are so much easier. They really are. Like I just did a video for tomorrow, and I'm fine. I don't know what it is. I'm just gonna stick. I will not go live about that woman again. In 1933, three bells from the parish church at Avonbury, Hertfordshire, were re-rung in the belfry of St. Andrews by the Wardrobe. So this is a church. That's kind of a cool name, eh? St. Andrews by the Wardrobe. I love the names and the way they talk in this. One of them, known as Gabriel, has been cast in Worcester in the 15th century, and it was an established piece of Avonbury folklore that whenever a vicar of the church died, This particular bell would always ring of its own accord to mourn his passing. Barely a year after its arrival in London, local residents were woken in the early hours of one morning by the knell of a solitary bell, sounding from the tower of the church. When local police arrived to investigate, they found the building was locked and a cursory search revealed no sign of a forced entry. The night was still, with not even the faintest breeze blowing, and yet many people had heard the bell tolling, though no one could explain how or why it could have happened. The next morning, word arrived that the vicar at the Avonbury had died shortly before the mysterious chime was heard. That's creepy. This one is a building called the Old Deanery, and the title for this is The Ghost That Bemused the Dean. The Old Deanery was built in 1670 by Sir Christopher Wren and was formerly the residence of the Dean of St. Paul's Cathedral. There is a long-held tradition that the building is haunted, although Martin Sullivan, Dean of St. Paul's until his retirement in 1977, was ever willing to pour scorn upon the assertion. The strange groans and creaks that were often heard by members of his family and staff he attributed to the antiquity of the building. The bumps and clanks that often shattered the quiet of the night hours he dismissed as nothing more than the central heating getting on a bit. He did, however, confess to being slightly bemused by a toilet roll holder that would go decidedly wonky whenever anyone else looked at it, but which had always righted itself by the time he arrived to repair it. But then he added, since I can't conceive of a haunted toilet roll holder, I can only put it down to my skill at do-it-yourself. Okay. A wonky toilet holder. A wonky toilet paper holder. Huh. That's different. Hey, Brenda. Hey, Teresa. This one is the St. Paul's Cathedral. And the story with the cathedral here is called Whistler's Secret Doorway. Entering the magnificent interior of St. Paul's Cathedral via the northwest door, you pass the kitchen or chapel on the left. Its walls are adorned with an assortment of battle colors and a white marble effigy of Lord Kitchener, which was a Secretary of War from 1914, reclines on its floor. Kitchener's death on 3rd June 1916 was treated as a national calamity. If, as you stand gazing upon his memorial, a sudden chill passes over you, take note, for this is often the first hint that the cathedral's ghostly resident, Whistler, is about to put in an appearance. Next, you will hear the low, barely audible sound of mournful whistling. Gazing into the chapel, you may spy a wizened old clergyman dressed in old-fashioned robes with flowing locks of gray hair. His doleful, though tuneless whistling will grow steadily louder as he glides across the chapel and melts slowly away into the wall to the right of the gates. Everyone who has seen him attests to the fact that he always follows the same route and vanishes into the same section of the wall. Intriguingly, during the renovation work following the 1914-18 war, when it was decided that the chapel, then known as All Souls Chapel, should be rededicated to Lord Kitchener, workmen uncovered a hidden door behind the exact section of the wall where the ghost always disappears. It opened onto a narrow winding staircase that led up to a secret room within the inner fabric of the main body of the cathedral. Nobody had known of its existence or purpose, with, of course, the exception of the ghost, whoever he may have been in his lifetime. Hey, Kira. Okay, this place is called Amen Court, and it's called the Realm of the Black Dog. There's not very many pictures for these two for some reason. Okay, Amen Court is a delightful hidden enclave of the 17th to 19th century houses where the dean and chapter of St. Paul's Cathedral live. Famous past residents have included wit and author Sidney Smith, who lived at number one between 1831 and 1834, and R.H. Barnum, author of the evocative and eerie Ingoldsby Legends, who occupied the same address from 1839 to 1845. At the rear of the court, a large and ominous dark wall looms. Behind it once stood the fearsome bulk of Newgate Prison, which was demolished in 1902. However, there remains a tiny passage, which was known as Dead Man's Walk. The passage took its name from the fact that prisoners were led along it to their executions and were buried beneath it afterwards. Oh, nice. Hey, Dad. Although many ghostly tales have evolved around the sinister old wall, the most chilling is that of the Black Dog of Newgate. The shapeless black form slithers along the top of the wall, slides sloppily down into the courtyard, and then melts away. I would friggin' shit. Like, what? Its manifestations are always accompanied by a nauseous smell and are often accompanied by the sound of dragging footsteps. I'd have a heart attack. That one sounds really creepy. Sliding down walls and footsteps. Uh-uh. And the smell. Its origins are said to date back to the reign of Henry III, when a fearsome famine struck London and the poor felons incarcerated within Newgate faced the prospect of starvation. Turned to cannibalism as a means of survival. Hey, Flamingo. One day, a scholar was imprisoned there on charges of sorcery. That's ridiculous. But I know it's happened. It's just ridiculous. His portly figure proved too much of a temptation for the emaciated inmates, and within a few days, they killed and devoured him, pronouncing him to be good meat. Holy. However, the prisoners soon had a cause to regret their actions, for a hideous black dog with eyes of fire and jowls that dripped with blood appeared in the dead of the night and proceeded to exact a terrifying revenge. Some hapless prisoners were torn limb from limb by the ferocious beast, striking terror into the very souls of the other inmates as their anguished screams echoed through the gaol. Holy. Others simply died of fright when they heard the beast's ghostly panting and its heavy paws padding towards them across the cold stone floors. Those who survived the first nights of the dog's lust for blood and vengeance became so terrified that they killed their guards and escaped. But no matter how far they traveled, the beast hunted them down one by one. Only when the murder of its master, the dead sorcerer, had been fully avenged, did the dog return to the prison's dungeons, where it became a hideous harbinger of death, appearing on the eve of executions or on the night before a felon breathed his last. When Newgate was demolished in 1902, it was hoped that the black dog would become a thing of the past, but it was not to be. For people who happened to glance at the dark wall when walking in Amen Court at night, have occasionally reported seeing its seething black shape shuffling across the wall and have watched as it slithers into the courtyard, where it disappears before their very eyes, leaving the smell of death in its ghostly wake. Wow. That's gross. And quite terrifying. This is the same building, and it says, another ghost associated with the courtyard is that of Amelia Dyer, the reading baby for. Oh shit, that one. I think I heard about this one. The reading baby farmer. Oh, this one's gonna be sad. Trigger warning, guys. Okay, so another ghost associated with the courtyard is that of Amelia Dyer, the reading baby farmer. Paid to look after unwanted babies, this evil woman drowned her charges in the Thames and other rivers, whilst continuing to draw a substantial income for their upkeep. Brought to justice, Amelia was sentenced to death, and on the 10th June 1896, she took her final stroll along Deadman's Walk. As she did so, she passed a young warden named Mr. Scott. Stopping abruptly, she turned towards him slowly and fixed him with her evil gaze. Her dark eyes looked into his. Her face cracked into a toothless smile, and in a low, rasping voice, she sneered, "I'll meet you again someday, sir." Moments later, she was dead, dangling at the end of a hangman's noose. Neither have I, Patricia. The years passed. Scott progressed in his chosen career, and memories of Amelia Dyer and her prophecy were soon forgotten. Then, just before the prison was to close, he found himself alone one night in the warden's room, his back to the grill that looked out onto Deadman's Walk. Suddenly, a cold shiver ran down his spine and had the distinct impression that someone was watching him. Then he heard it. That low, sneering rasp, the unmistakable voice of Amelia Dyer echoed from the passage. "Meet you again, meet you again." Turning, he saw her evil, grinning face, framed by the grill. Stirred to action, he rushed at her, but she promptly vanished. Throwing open the door, the passage was silent and empty. Had he imagined it? Possibly. Yet he could never account for the woman's handkerchief, which, at that very moment, fluttered to the flagstones and lay by his feet. Wow. Here's what this ugly woman looks like. She looks scary as hell. See her? Yeah, they are true stories, Teresa. So that would be her. Okay, this one is called this place is called the Viaduct Tavern, and the story from this place is called Down in the Cellar. A lot of these are really scary. The Viaduct Tavern stands opposite the Central Criminal Courts, better known the world over as the Old Bailey after the road in which they stand. Yeah, because I wouldn't have thought that. I just thought maybe it was folklore, and no, it's actually true stories. Yeah. The pub dates from 1875 and the last example of late Victorian gin palace left in the city of London. It is also prone to suffer from bouts of poltergeist activity. Of course it is. The word poltergeist is derived from two German terms. Poltern means to knock, and Geist means spirit. The restless spirit that haunts the Viaduct Tavern has a propensity to haunt the pub cellars, and several members of staff have experienced its unwelcome attentions. One Saturday morning in 1996, a manager was tidying the cellar when the door suddenly slammed shut and the lights went out. Feeling his way to the door, he discovered that no matter how hard he pushed, it just would not open. Fortunately, his wife heard his cries for help and came downstairs to investigate. She found that the doors, which would not open from the inside, were unlocked and easily pushed open from the outside. In May 1999, two electricians working in one of the pub's upstairs room also attracted the ghost's unwelcome attentions. The pair had rolled the carpet up and were taking up the floorboards when one of them felt a hand tap him on the shoulder. Thinking it was his workmate, he turned around, but found that he was on the other side of the room. Believing that he had imagined it, he went back to work only to feel another tap on his shoulder. Standing up, he went over to his friend to ask if he was playing a prank, but the man denied any involvement. As he was about to return to his chores, both men watched as the heavy carpet, which lay rolled by the windows, was lifted into the air and dropped heavily onto the floor. Here's the tavern. Sorry, suck at this. That reminds me, did I tell you guys about the story when my son and I went for a burger at McDonald's? I got tapped on the shoulder. We were sitting in a corner, and all of a sudden I got tap, tap, tap. It felt like with two fingers. Yeah, I'm like, whoa. So I started taking pictures, but I think I was too late because whatever it was gone. It was weird, though, because when I looked over, all of a sudden, Leland's like the Monopoly things out, when you get the little stickers and stuff on the cups and the burgers or whatever. He looks over, he goes, Mom, look, somebody left all their things, and he ended up getting a free donut. It was like they told us, like, tap me on the shoulder to let me know there's something over there. We went over, and I was like, holy crap. I don't know. It was bizarre. I wasn't scared, but it was, for some reason, I wasn't. It was just like, they tapped me on the shoulder, and when I turned to look, it was right where that table was that had all those stickers, which I needed for my board. I'm like, okay. He got a free donut out of the deal. So that was pretty neat. I'm probably going to butcher this word. Oh my God. You guys ever heard of Scratching Fanny? Oh, I remember this one. Saint Sulpiture without Newgate. That's the establishment. And the story that goes with that is called Don't Be Alarmed, It's Just the Ghost. Originally dedicated to St. Edmund, the Church of the Holy Sepulchre was founded in 1137. Like its namesake in Jerusalem, the church stood just outside the northwest gates of the city, and it was the favored venue for the Knights of the Crusades to set out from on their journeys to the Holy Land. For that reason, it acquired its present name. The church was rebuilt in 1450, and although it was damaged by the Great Fire of London in 1666, it wasn't destroyed, and thus the edifice that greets today's visitor is veritable. I don't even know what the hell that word is. Visitor is a cornucopia of differing architectural styles. During the Blitz in World War II, the nearby city temple was destroyed, and its congregation was invited to take use of the Church of St. Sepulchre, as it was by then better known. As the visitor handed over the keys to the temple's minister, Dr. Weatherhead, he commented casually that, if he were alone in the church at night and happened to see a tall, pale clergyman, don't be alarmed. It's just a ghost. The visitor went on to explain he's quite often there, and when I speak to him, he never answers. Following the morning service, a few Sundays later, Dr. Weatherhead and his wife invited a female friend to dine with them. Over lunch, the woman, who had been told nothing of the haunting, informed the minister that on the occasion when she had watched him take communion at the church, she had noticed a tall, pale-faced clergyman with you in the sanctuary. At first, I thought he was assisting you, and then one morning I saw you walk right through him, and I knew he was a ghost. This one is called 33 Cock Lane, and the story that goes with this one is Scratching Fanny. This is one of the more famous ones. Cock Lane is now a relatively uninteresting thoroughfare whose chief glory is the Tubric fat boy that is perched high up on its northeastern side, and which marks the spot where the Great Fire of London burnt itself out in 1666. Number 33 was demolished long ago, which is a great pity, for in the late 18th century, one of the London's most infamous hauntings occurred at what was then the home of William Parsons. One morning in 1760, Parsons offered lodgings to a widower called William Kent. Kent gratefully accepted and moved into the house with his sister-in-law, Miss Fanny, with whom he had become romantically involved. Not long after the two lovers had taken up residence, Parsons borrowed a considerable sum of money from Kent, but showed a marked reluctance to repay it. Relations were strained because the two men, when Kent was suddenly called away on business. Rather than sleep alone while her lover was away, Miss Fanny took Parsons' 11-year-old daughter Elizabeth into bed with her at night. In the early hours of the morning, they were woken by a mysterious scratching noise sounding from behind the wainscoting. Fanny convinced herself that it was the spirit of her dead sister warning her of her own imminent demise. When Kent returned, he found his mistress on the verge of a nervous breakdown, and he deemed it best that they move out of the lodgings. However, no sooner had they found a new home than Fanny died of smallpox and was buried in a vault at St. John's Church, Clerkenwell. When Kent began to press Parsons for repayment of the outstanding loan, his former landlord reacted by claiming that the scratching noises had resumed in his house. Furthermore, he insisted that the spirit of Miss Fanny was behind the latest outbreak, and that she had informed him that William Kent had actually murdered her. When news spread that a vengeful ghost was making its presence known at 33 Cock Lane, Londoners flocked to make its acquaintance. They heard the revenant of Miss Fanny, using a sequence of banging, scratching, and knocking noises, accuse William Kent of poisoning her with arsenic. The ghostly activity appeared to center on 11-year-old Elizabeth Parsons, and her father was only too happy to decipher the messages. He did a roaring trade by charging an admission fee to those who wanted to hear the ghost. Then a local clergyman threw a holy spanner into the works by announcing that, since the spirit was apparently accusing Kent of a serious crime, an investigation into the veracity of the allegations should be carried out by a group of eminent men. The ghost proved more than willing to oblige and informed him, though Parsons, that if he spent a night by Miss Fanny's resting place in St. John's Church, then she would answer any question by knocking on the lid of her coffin. And so it was that the visitor, accompanied by a group of fearless companions that included the great Dr. Samuel Johnson, went down into the church vault at 1 a.m. One morning, when nothing had occurred by dawn, Johnson declared the ghost a fraud. However, a secret watch had been kept on Elizabeth, who was observed hiding a small wooden board beneath her stays, and the trick was exposed. Parsons spent 2 years in the King's Bench prison. Elizabeth was exonerated of any crime, as it was deemed that she had been an unwitting accomplice, and William Kent's name was cleared. London settled back into the Age of Reason, and the ghost was co-signed to the pages of history as Scratching Fanny of Cock Lane. That sounds good. This one is called, the building is St. Bartholomew the Great, and the story that goes with this is called Footsteps in the Night. I've made like homemade gnocchi before, but I've never made it with sweet potato. That sounds actually good. Yeah, with this cold weather, I totally understand. The Priory Church of St. Bartholomew the Great is the oldest parish church in London. It possesses a dark and mysterious interior, the ancient walls of which drip with atmosphere. It has been used as a location for films as diverse as Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and Four Weddings and a Funeral. Its ambiance has been described as the holy gloom, as it comes as little surprise to learn that the building is haunted. Even its beginnings are tinged with the supernatural. The church was founded in 1123 by Rahir, a man who, according to legend, was once a jester at the court of King Henry I. In November 1120, Henry's sons and heir drowned when the White Ship was lost in a winter storm off Calais. The court was plunged into despondency, and Brahir opted to become a monk and set off on a pilgrimage to Rome. While there, he fell dangerously ill with malaria and vowed on his deathbed that if he were cured and allowed to return to his own country, he would erect a hospital for the restoration of poor men. Miraculously, Rahir's prayer was answered, and he duly set off for England. On his journey, he had a terrible dream in which he was seized by a fearful winged creature and taken up onto a high ledge, where he was set down, teetering on the brink of a yawning chasm, whatever the hell that meant. Just as he was about to fall, the radiant figure of St. Bartholomew appeared at his side and told Rahir that he had come to save him. In return, said the saint, "In my name thou shalt found a church in London at Smithfield." Thus the church was founded, and Rahir was buried within it when he died in 1145. His tomb now stands to the left of the altar, its reverse side clearly showing the results of a hasty repair carried out in the 19th century when the parish officials decided to report upon the state of the founder's body. It was well preserved, and even Rahir's clothes and sandals are said to have been intact. A few days after the tomb was sealed, one of the church officers fell ill and confessed that, when the tomb had been opened, he had stolen one of the sandals. He gave it back and recovered, but it was never returned to the foot of its rightful owner, and since that day, Rahir has haunted the church as a shadowy hooded figure that appears from the gloom, brushes past astonished witnesses, and fades slowly into thin air. On other occasions, his appearances have been more active. In the mid-20th century, the Reverend W.F.G. Sandwich was showing two ladies around the church when he sighted a monk standing in the pulpit, giving a very animated sermon to an unseen congregation. Although no sound could be heard, the two ladies appeared to be oblivious to the apparition. But just to be sure, the Reverend Sandwich directed their attention to the pulpit, observing, "I don't think that pulpit is worthy of the church, do you?" The ladies merely agreed with him, obviously quite unaware of the ghostly monk. In May 1999, John Castor, the verger of the church who lived in the house next door, was woken early one morning by a telephone call from the security company informing him that the alarms were going off inside the church. Entering the building, he turned on the lights and conducted a brief search. The church was empty. Switching the lights off, he was about to leave, and he clearly heard the measured tread of slapping footsteps walking down the central aisle. He called out, "Who's there?" Whereupon the footsteps stopped for a moment. Then they continued along the aisle. Convinced there was an intruder, he locked the doors and called the police. They arrived within minutes but could find no sign of anyone inside the building. Furthermore, no windows or doors were open. The next morning, the security company sent an engineer to check and reset the motion trigger alarms. Both he and John were astonished to discover that only the central beam, the one that passes Rahir's tomb, had been broken. The beams by the doors and the side and top aisles had not been breached, which meant that whoever or whatever was responsible had somehow managed to simply appear at the church of the center. It was then that John remembered that the footsteps had sounded like sandals slapping over the stone floor of the old church. Yeah, I would always eat before I go into this chat. Oh, you're having a girls' night out? That's awesome, Momo3. Hope you have so much fun. Here's a picture of the Saint Bartholomew the Great. So this is the one that I just read, and apparently the monk is supposed to be seen right in this building or outside this building. Okay, this one is called West Smithfield, and the story with this is called Death by Fire and Ghostly Effects. The Smithfield was originally known, was for many years one of London's many places of execution. In August 1305, Sir William Wallace, Braveheart, was put to death here, and a great granite plaque on a wall of St. Bartholomew's Hospital still commemorates the Scotsman's heroic exploits. In the reign of Queen Mary Tudor, over 200 Protestants were put to death in England, and many of them were burnt at Smithfield. Holy frig. Bloody Mary, as she was known, was emphatic that green wood should not be used, as its smoke was likely to suffocate the victims before they suffered the full agony of the flames. Wait, Bloody Mary originated from London? Wow. Oh my God. Here's a picture of them. It says above is a picture during the reign of Bloody Mary, close to 200 Protestants were burnt alive for their faith. That's insane. So they brought a picture here. The one opposite is the Europe's largest market stands in Smithfield, which they now call Smithfield, where executions were once carried out. So both pictures are where executions were carried out. Isn't that crazy? We can only guess they suffered the full agony of the flames. We can only guess at the terrible suffering endured by those who perished here as Mary strove to undo the work of her father, Henry VIII, and her brother, Edward, and bring Catholicism back to the people of England using fire and the sword. I didn't know any of this. So her brother was Edward and her father was Henry VIII, and that's where Bloody Mary came from? Does anybody else know this? I didn't know that. For some of her victims, the torment appears to have proved eternal. Those who work in the area in the early hours of some mornings have often been disturbed by anguished and agonized screams that rend the air and by the sickly smell of burning flesh that is carried upon the night breeze. Bloody Mary was King Henry VIII's daughter with Catherine of Aragon, his first wife. I can tell you pretty much anything about British royalty. That's cool. I didn't know that. At least I don't remember knowing that. I don't think I knew that. I didn't. I did not know that Bloody Mary was King Henry's daughter. Wow. That's all they have on it. I'm going to look into that. That's all they have on it, though. It's just that little thing. Huh. Now we're on to St. Bartholomew's Hospital, and the story with this goes, The Haunt of the Grey Lady and the Coffin Lift. Just going to take this to my drink. St. Bartholomew's, or Barts as it's known to those who study and work there, has a distinction of being the oldest hospital in London to stand on its original site. Its origins sketch back to 1123, when it was founded as part of the monastery of St. Bartholomew by Rahir, a court gesture turned man of God. Ain't that musty girl? She was the first sister of Queen Elizabeth I. Cool. I love this book. Like, I don't remember. I know I read it, but I don't remember a lot of this at all. In the depths of the hospital, there is an elevator, which generations of doctors and nurses have come to know as the coffin lift. In the silent hours of early mornings, the lift has been known to take bemused passengers down to the basement, irrespective of which floor they have requested. Once there, its lights go out and the lift does not move. After a few moments of madly pushing the lift's buttons, staff are able to pull open the gates and walk back up to the ground floor. Here they find the lift waiting, its gates open and its lights on. Should they then choose to walk up to the level they requested, they will suffer the unnerving experience of having the elevator follow them up the lift shaft around which the staircase twists. Tradition maintains that the ghost responsible for the malfunction is a nurse who was once murdered in the lift by a deranged patient. The spirits of former nurses haunt other parts of the hospital. Grace Ward is the spectral domain of the Grey Lady, a nurse in old-fashioned uniform who, in life, is said to have administered a fatal overdose to a patient and to have killed herself in remorse. Now, if ever modern nurses are about to make a similar mistake, they are said to feel a light tap on their shoulders, and looking up, they see the Grey Lady shaking her head in warning. A similarly attired lady had been seen on her Bedford Fenwick ward, although she appears to administer comfort. Nurses have long grown used to patients, asking them to thank the old-fashioned nurse for bringing them a cup of tea shortly before they die. I feel like I've heard this before. This one building is called the Rising Sun, and the story that goes with this is called Where Body Snatchers Once Lurked. Oh, lovely. The Rising Sun is a cozy, traditional 18th century hostelry that lay derelict and empty for much of the 20th century until Tadcaster brewer Samuel Smith purchased and refurbished the building in 1984. I was born that year. Its proximity to St. Bartholomew's Hospital has led to a local tradition that in the early 19th century, a gang of body snatchers used the pub as a meeting place and a hunting ground for cadavers with which to supply the research needs of doctors. I've actually read stuff and watched movies on this. Yeah, it's true. They would steal the bodies, give it to doctors, and these doctors would pay, even though they knew these bodies were being stolen, they would pay these guys. Yeah. Whether there is any truth in the rumor that the dastardly band would replenish their merchandise by drugging and murdering patrons of the Rising Sun is debatable. I also heard that part too. To make more money, they were killing people and then bringing the bodies over there. But what is certain is that some historical act of infamy has left a psychic stain upon the pub's ethereal plane, and managers and staff have encountered several ghosts over the years. Two Brazilian barmaids who worked and lived here in 1989 were often woken in the early hours by a presence that sat on the end of their beds and that would occasionally tug the bedclothes off of them slowly. Several barmen who had been cleaning up in the downstairs bar late at night have been disturbed by the distinct sounds of footsteps running across the floor of the upstairs bar. However, on investigation, they discovered that the room was always empty. Finally, in 1990, the landlady of the time was enjoying a shower in the staff bathroom one summer's afternoon when she thought she heard a bathroom door open and close. The next moment, the shower curtain was pulled slowly aside and an ice-cold hand ran down her back. She turned around quickly, but found out that she was alone. This place is called Ye Old Red Cow. The story that goes with this is Dick O'Shea keeps a ghostly watch. Ye Old Red Cow is a snug little pub that stands opposite Europe's largest market, Smithfield Meat Market. The butchers and meat packers work throughout the night, and so many of the pubs in this area have special licenses that allow them to open between the hours of 6:30 a.m. and 9 a.m. The Old Red Cow is one of these market pubs, and for many years in the late 20th century, it was run by Dick O'Shea, characterful Irishman who numbered amongst the clientele the actors Peter Ustinov and Bernard Miles. They, along with many others, were attracted here by Dick's legendary hot whiskey toddies. Ever the benign host, once the pub opened at 6:30 a.m., Dick sat in a favored rocking chair on the upper balcony, rocking back and forth, as he kept a genial and watchful eye on the comings and goings below. He died in 1981, but his spirit apparently found it difficult to adjust. For almost a year after his demise, regulars in the bar below caught frequent glimpses of his unmistakable form, sitting in his rocking chair, a warm smile upon his face, as genial and watchful a host in death as ever as he had been in life. What helps vertigo? For us in Canada, we would take Gravol. And do not get up like fast. Don't do that. Other than that, I have no idea. We're going to get a burger. This place is called the Seton Arms, and the story attached is Charlie's Ghostly Antics. Behind the enchanting bow-windowed frontage of the Sutton Arms is a snug and cozy interior that is haunted by a red-haired old gentleman in old-fashioned dress who, as they have never been formally introduced, the landlord has come to know as Charlie. The ghost has been sitting nonchalantly in a corner of the pub, and on one occasion, he appeared suddenly between two girls who were enjoying a lunchtime drink. Having given them a nasty fright, he grinned and then promptly disappeared. One night in October 1997, a friend of the landlord who was staying in one of the pub's upstairs bedrooms was looking in the mirror and combing his hair, when a cold shiver suddenly passed over her. Then the next moment she saw the reflection of a smiling red-haired man standing behind her. She spun around quickly to remonstrate with the intruder, but was astonished to find nobody there. This place is called Charterhouse, and the story is a haunted gem of hidden London. I tried to get a hold of you. Hi, Bryson. I tried to get a hold of you on Twitter as well. That night you were going to come on. I was like, damn it. It's okay, though. I just read and showed a couple videos or whatever, but I did message you back on Twitter. Do you want to come up now? Seeing how you're here? You're more than welcome to. The ancient wall, yeah? Okay, I'll stop reading then. My throat's getting sore anyways. You rarely check Twitter? Oh my God. I know I should have just sent you a text. Sorry, my bad. I don't check Twitter as often either, and I'm not getting notifications, and I'm not getting them on Instagram as well. Same with Discord. The only like direct way to get a hold of me is Facebook. That pops right up. It's weird though, because I don't get messages. Like I know they're there, but I have to keep reminding myself that I have to keep checking, and I forget everything, so it's hard. You fell? Oh no. That's gotta hurt. Wow. There you go, Bryson. I couldn't imagine breaking your paw. Ow. And you're left-handed. Oh, of course. Go figure, right? Check on Instagram. Okay. That sucks, Dad. I know what you mean by like the real food. You click the link and it sent you to my channel. Hold on. I'll do it again. I know what she means by the real food. Oh, I have to cook every single day, at least twice a day. I don't like eating, like going out and eating like, I don't know, like just junk. Because then you can feel it. It's like you feel like shit after eating so much of it, right? Today we got spoiled though. It was nice. I'm just going to go for a quick phone booth break. Oh, there she is. Hi. Are you there? Oh, you're muted.
Yes, sorry, I was muted. I was trying to get it off mute. Hi.
Hi.
Okay. Yeah, I tried to reach you and I was like, oh no. And then I tried to reach you today because I saw that I wanted you to get I saw it as soon as it happened and nobody had, only like one YouTuber had broken it, that they had caught the Delphi.
Yeah, they apparently
yeah.
caught him. It was I seen that. And the sketch and who he really is, it
Yeah.
completely identical. They got him. I was so happy
Yes.
for that.
I
I
was
was
too.
watching Justice for All. That's where I seen it.
Yeah, when like I had seen it like within minutes of it, and I was like, oh, I gotta text or email her so that she can
Yeah. And then you
go on it,
messaged
and then
me.
yeah,
I didn't check
yeah.
it. Whoops.
Well,
Like
I was
even my emails
hoping
don't come
maybe
in
it would
half
like
the time.
happen. What were you saying?
Even my emails don't come in half the time. It's weird. And then
Yeah.
I'll get one and I'll be like, oh, by the way, so someone messaged you last week. And I'm like, great. I feel like a jerk now because you know what I mean? I'm always like, here you
Yeah.
go. I'm here. No, the easiest way, honestly, is Facebook. That way it's direct. Like I don't
Yeah.
even talk to like my one of my mods, Teresa. I talk to her every day. I don't even do that anymore because I'm not getting her messages. I feel so bad.
I barely ever do the like any social media except for the you like on YouTube. That's about it. Like
Yeah,
everything else, I
on YouTube
used
I
to,
can
but
message
then
quick. Like they're
I
not
think
messaging
there's just too much
comments.
drama.
I agree. I
That's
agree.
why I just went, I've had enough.
Yeah, there is a
So
lot.
yeah.
Definitely.
So I had so I wrote a little bit in my email to you I was telling you. So when I was like really young, I I had because my parents had issues and they were, you know, with drugs and stuff, they um
I'm
when I
sorry.
was with my parents, they there was a time that we were homeless and it was like in the early 80s
Yeah.
and it was the time that Reagan it was right after Reagan had shut down all of the mental health hospitals
Oh no.
in the
Okay.
nation. So there was a mental health hospital in the Bay Area that is called Agnews, and they shut it down. And when they shut it down, not long after, they had opened it as a homeless shelter.
Okay.
And so we went there. Well, I'm like you, I'm sensitive, but as when I was younger, I was a lot more sensitive.
Same
Now
here. Oh yeah.
I'm not like a kid. Like I would have, I still once in a while will have a dream that I'll see something that's going to happen.
Yeah.
That's it. And then I have very strong like feelings, but other than that, like it's not like when I was younger, I would get flashes and visions, and I would
Oh wow.
know like ghosts and stuff. So it was scary.
Yeah, it
And
would be. I don't
I
have that.
remember like staying in the like they took us to this homeless shelter. That's where we stayed at for a while, and it was kind of like a dormitory. Like there was rooms, and then the bathrooms were like a communal bathroom, like a big bathroom,
Yeah.
and they at night if we had to use the restroom we'd have to walk, and I would see it during the day, but it was terrifying at night because we'd walk and I could see the ghosts like walking around
Oh
like just
no.
if they were there, and it was some were like really like some were older, some were younger, and it would be so scary, and some would like you know smile, but some were not like grumpy looking, and it was really scary because the adults couldn't see them, but I could see them.
Did you know they were spirits?
Well, yeah, because the adults couldn't see them.
Oh wow, that would have
So,
been horrifying.
and then my
Especially having
parents would react to what I said. Like I remember one time my sister, I had an older sister that was like 16 years older than me,
oh
and
wow.
she had a friend that they used to take us out because she was high school age,
Yeah.
just out of high school, and
Oh,
she
that's
would
good.
take us with her, and she had her friend, and her friend used to go with her, and one morning, like they found her, she had passed away, and they kind of thought that her boyfriend had done it at first, and it turns out it was natural causes, like she had an aneurysm or something, and but when they were about to break the news to us, they
Yeah.
told my sister and I, and they were about to tell us, and I'm like, Tammy died.
Oh
And
wow.
they just their reaction was like they're like just and so I was very aware that it wasn't normal, like because
Yeah.
of the way people would react to the way I talked, and so it made me feel very weird.
Yeah,
And
because well, you don't know. You're still a child, but then you'll start to
right,
realize, oh, okay, I'm like gifted or something, or maybe I'm a whack job, or maybe you know what I mean. You're just like all the maybe.
yeah. Well, there was like a time in junior high that I went with a friend that was we went on a trip. She invited me. She lived with her dad, and they were going up to Big Bear, and so we were going to go up to the snow, and they invited me to it was a timeshare, so we went for the weekend to the timeshare, and then when it was like the last night, and I told her, I'm like, we can't go back right now, and she's like, why? And I'm like, there's an accident, I don't know what it is, but I know there's an accident, I can see the accident,
Oh
and
wow.
I'm scared. And she's like, yeah, how am I supposed to tell my dad that? And I'm like, I don't know, but I'm scared to go. And she's like, I can't exactly tell my dad that. And I'm like, okay. And we got on the road, and we weren't like on the road not even 10 minutes. And we got in an accident.
Oh my
And we
God.
were stuck there for a week. And I was like, I told you, I told you we were going to get in an accident.
Yeah, I would have listened. Definitely.
So it
Definitely.
was like, it would happen all the time to me. Like, but now it's like not at all like that. I will get very strong feelings around, like, if somebody has a bad, like, if they're a bad person, I'll know.
Yep.
Or
I
I
get
get
that.
like a feeling like if there's, I can tell when there's spirits around.
Yeah.
I knew when I had my son, I could feel my grandmother there, and I
Oh,
knew she was there. And
oh,
so
that's
I was
nice.
like, she had just passed away like a month before. And so I knew she was there. And it was actually, she had passed away in the same hospital, like one floor above where I was at. So
Oh my God.
yeah.
Wow. I'm sorry.
So I knew, and I could feel her there. I knew she was there. I was like, I know my grandmother is here. And I'm sure she's probably saying, see, I was the first one to see your baby.
Oh, that
So
never need though. That yeah.
yeah. And then I've had like, and I looked for it everywhere. I have the pictures with a bunch of orbs, and
Okay.
I couldn't find the disc that, because I had taken it like, it was back before I took all my pictures on my cell phone, and
Yeah.
I took it on my Nikon, and I was trying to find the disc, and I found the camera, and then I looked, and the disc is gone. It's not in there, so I was looking everywhere, and I can't find the disc, but I know I actually like printed hard copies, so I'm trying to
Yeah.
find the hard copies so I could show you.
That would be
But there,
awesome.
like, there's a whole bunch of pictures at my last house where there's a bunch of orbs,
Oh, cool.
and at the last house, I'm like, I rent, I rent my house. So the last house I rented, I moved in, and I found out like not long after I moved in, it was like the first of the following month. This lady, I had put up the mailbox that was there was hanging, so I put up like a locking mailbox, and
Okay.
she knocked on the door, and she looks like she's totally drugged out, and
Oh God.
she's like, yeah, so the mailman, I tried to get my check from the mailbox, and it's locked, and the mailman said he just dropped it, and I was waiting for it, and I'm like, I'm sorry, ma'am, like, I don't know who you are, and if you had it, like, you didn't have it forwarded, you're gonna have to go back because I have to return it to the post office. I cannot give it to you.
Yeah.
And she started like yelling and
I was gonna
cursing, and
say
she's
she
like,
freaked, didn't she? Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna rip that mailbox off the wall. And I'm like, no, you're not, because I'm calling the police now.
Good.
And I called the police, and so I knew what type of people they were. And then
Oh,
I'd seen other things in the house that I was like, wow, they had like kind of trashed it. He had to redo it, and like they went and cut all the cable wires underneath the house, stuff like that. And
oh my God. Yeah, I
um,
know what you mean. Those types of people. I have a few in my
yeah,
area around me. It's I need to find a better place to live. I'll tell you that much. But
it's
I
bad
understand.
when they're like that. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so I was there, and then like I moved in, and there was one room that reeked, even though it had been freshly painted, it reeked of smoke. Like somebody had just chain
Oh,
smoked in that room. And
I hate the
so,
smoke. I used to
me
smoke.
too.
Oh,
I
I
have
hate it.
asthma.
So do I. That's I
Yeah,
cannot stand the smell, even if I'm outside and I walk by somebody smoking. It just makes me feel sick to my stomach.
it's
Ugh.
awful. Yeah,
Yeah, we used to smoke, and remember, we'd be like, "I don't give a shit. We're gonna smoke here and smoke there." But now we're like, "Yeah, I'm
yeah.
sorry."
Like I've never taken a puff off a cigarette because my parents smoked all my life. So I was like, and with the asthma, it just affected me so badly that I cannot at all. Like, so I couldn't. I never even tried. I was like, oh
Oh,
no.
good for
But
you.
and but I mean, I did at one point, like most teenagers. I didn't. I actually was like 19 when I tried, you know, other
Yeah.
things. But yeah, um, but even that, I had issues with the yeah. So
Yeah.
um, I after I was in this house about a few months, they I got a knock at the door, and it's the police, and I'm like, what is going on?
What?
And they're like, well, we got a call and we're doing a welfare check. And apparently, this woman that and her, who all the people that she had had living in her house, she had supposedly been like claiming money for this old grandmother,
Yeah.
and the grandmother disappeared.
What?
And yeah, and so it was, and when I was in this house, like stuff would fly off the walls and they would
Holy
fly
crap.
out, like, and so I was like, oh my goodness, I think this is answering a lot of questions right now.
Well,
But
yeah.
I know they never found the woman. I don't know what happened to her or anything, but they're like, okay. I was like, no, I explained to them about like the lady and what had happened right after I moved in, and she's been gone for a while, but there was no old woman there,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
I don't know whatever happened to that lady, but and apparently
Oh
she had been in that room that was the smoke room when she at
my.
one point, but she wasn't there anymore. She had left, like she had disappeared months before they moved.
Do you think it
So
was like a
I
schmurder?
don't know. I have
You know.
no idea. I just thought it was very creepy, and I know
Yeah.
that there had to have been spirits there because, like I said, stuff would fly off the
Yes.
walls
Why
and
not?
they would like
Yeah.
not like just fall off, but like fly across the room. And the
Wow.
orbs in the pictures were
It was
like
probably her.
Christmas. There was a like 3 or 4 orbs at one
Oh
time
my
in one
gosh.
picture.
Maybe it
So
was
I was
her.
like, yeah. And then I had I told you I my major in college and my degree is in criminal justice. So
Yeah, I love that.
I um when I was in school I pledged to criminal justice fraternity, and we went on a tour of we went on a few we went to Corcoran, but we also did San Quentin,
Oh,
and they took us
that would
through the
be.
death chamber.
Oh
And
my God.
they said like, okay, they offered there was like about 12 of us, and they said, anybody want, like they had the electric chair and they're like, anybody want to sit in it? And I was like, no, thank you. One person did. I was
Wow.
like, no. And they still had the IV bag hanging from the last execution in
Really?
the lethal injection one. Yeah.
Oh, I couldn't even be near that
So
room. I can just imagine the
it was
emotion.
creepy. I
Yeah.
could feel like with because I'm already sensitive,
Yep.
being in there was so
Yeah, I
just
don't
the
think
feeling I had in there.
I wouldn't doubt it, especially yeah, that'd be the because that place is supposed to be like severely haunted. Well, I can just imagine like all the deaths and everything, right? Wow.
Oh, I there was I so like as an adult, I did before I went back to school, I worked like security jobs. And
Mhm.
I at one point I worked hospital security,
Oh
and they
no.
had sent me to a hospital that had been shut down,
Oh
and it was it was like boarded up on the outside, but
yeah.
it was a newer hospital. So but what had happened is the city, there was one in this small town, in like that small town, and then the next small town was there was one,
Hmm.
and Catholic Charities bought the second one so that they could like monopolize it. They
Oh
wanted, and they were gonna do it like make it a Catholic school or something, and the city said no, 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 it has to be a medical facility. But
oh
that's what they were trying to do. So it's only like I don't know 10 years or something. It wasn't old at all, and but they had boarded it up, and they sent me for like graveyard shift, and I got there,
oh
and it was my first night. And the guy tells me from the previous shift, he's like, he shows me how to do the rounds, and he's like, okay, so this is what you need to do. You need to do a round every hour and check everything, make sure everything's off and everything's good. And I'm like, okay. And so he leaves, and then I go to do my next round, everything's good. And then the next time I go to do a round, and there's like 5 TVs on.
oh
And
no.
I'm the only one there. I was like, no, 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 no. At
Oh, I
that
could
point, I was
never
like,
do a job like
no.
that. Never. No way. I would
I
have a heart
called my fiance and I was like, "You need to come over here. I'm really freaked out and I can't do this by myself. I need some company." And yeah, I you gotta come. And I
attack.
called him and he came. I was like, and we ended up getting locked in between these two doors,
Oh no.
and they were like bolted. And we had. I was like, I was afraid my hands ended up bleeding because I was trying to take these bolts off with my fingers.
Oh
It was
nice.
crazy. And then they had us in another hospital, which was it was San Jose Medical, which was downtown San Jose, and it was which is it's like on the main. It was well, it was. It's not anymore. It was on the main street that like people would cruise on and stuff, and it was like I can't remember how many. Like I want to say like 13 floors or whatever, and it was
Oh, I
really
bet.
old, like from the 1800s. There was pictures of like the nurses from the 1800s,
Oh, that's creepy.
and they were shutting it down. They were in the process of shutting it down. So there was like a couple floors at the top had been shut down, and one of them was one of the old like maternity wards. And
Oh, okay.
then there was another building that was shut down, and I had heard a lot of stories like none of the nurses would park in front of this building because they would say that there was a lady that they would see in the window at night. So,
My.
and that when, well, there had been a murder like years before.
Hmm.
And so they said that they would always see the woman up in the window. So they would not park in that parking lot and in front of that building. So
Oh
I
no.
was like,
Wow.
okay. And whenever we get a live flight, like one of the helicopters come in,
Yeah.
it was security's job to go and like
Help.
take pick up the gurney, take it to the helipad, and then we would escort the nurse and the doctor, and it would be from like 13th Street down to 2nd Street
Yeah.
with the patient. We would have to escort them, but we'd have to get that gurney out of that building,
Oh.
and then they would when we were doing rounds, we'd have to go up to that maternity floor, and it had those like stuff you'd see in a movie, like those old like tile room with the stirrups and it was
Oh.
so creepy.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, no, 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 no. And I couldn't, I absolutely refused to do the death pickups. Like when they would come to get the bodies, I was like, I'm not doing bodies. I won't do it. I
No, I
will
wouldn't
not
either.
do bodies.
Nope.
I was like, you can find another security guard for that, but I'm not doing it.
No, I wouldn't either. No way. No, I no.
And they had sent me like not that a different one that I was doing. They sent me out to a golf course like in the middle of the night that was like miles and miles from anything. It was like out in the boonies, way
My.
out in the boonies. And they sent me on Graveyard out there, and that's where I read that book that you've been reading, the Adam Walsh one.
Adam Walsh book? Oh my god.
I was reading it in the truck, and I scared myself.
Oh, I
And then
bet.
they would tell me to get out and go do the get out. I was supposed to get out of the truck, and they have like this wand that you go and tap that shows that like so it can track that you did your rounds.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I was like, no, I'm not getting out. I don't care. I'm
Have you
too
ever seen
scared.
the movie Mirrors?
No, I haven't.
Oh my god. That's with Kiefer Sutherland, and it's just like the job you're explaining. He does that. It's scary as hell. And yeah, that's why I would never do that job. That sounds like what you're describing, I swear. Just look at
Well,
the trailer for it. It's called Mirrors.
it was an interesting job, but just some of the like those ones were more like scary. But there was other like I had like a lady come in that was like if they have what they call 5150s, which is like people when they do a psychiatric hold on somebody for
Oh, okay.
whatever reason, they would call us to watch them until they could get them transferred to the psych hospital.
Yeah.
And there was like a lady that they brought in, and she was like, she kept screaming about her cross, and she was screaming it in Spanish. And I knew a little bit of Spanish, so I was like, I could understand some of the stuff she was saying, but not not everything, but I knew enough. And then she was like yelling, and then she wouldn't let any of the doctors touch her stuff.
Oh,
And she liked me, and she was like, okay, like I could touch her stuff. And I was like, okay. But she was like, she kept that she was possessed and that she
what?
wanted the spirits out of her. And I was like, oh my goodness.
That's a lot. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Much.
But there was a lot of like different, like at the hospital stuff, there was a lot of different things like that were really, when you're dealing with people that have issues. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
I agree.
there's sad things too,
Yeah.
so
Do you still
deaths
work like
and
in that field or no?
well, no, right now I'm not, but that's like when I go back to work, that's what I'll be doing. I've been out with my child, like when I had my children, I stayed home.
Oh, yeah.
But so I'm actually my son is 9 now, so I'm planning on going back to work, and
Oh, are you?
so
Okay.
I'm gonna be looking at maybe 911 dispatch or something. I'm not sure.
That would be, see, I don't know if I could do that. Oof. I don't
I
know.
know.
I think, uh, I don't know. I don't think my heart could take it.
I type
Especially if I
fast, but
lost someone, like, or if somebody passed. Oh,
well,
yeah, I
see,
don't know.
that's what I thought. Like I remember calling 911 for my daughter, so I'm like, I don't know how that affected the person that the operator, because I'm
Yeah.
sure it had to have affected her. That I'm sure it had to have affected her,
Yeah.
and I just can't. Yeah, especially like when it's children or babies. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's hard.
I couldn't. No.
So I don't know. I'm Yeah, it's something, but yeah, I mean, there was fun stuff doing the security too. Like I did, I worked for an amusement park that
Oh, that'd
was
be cool.
ran by Paramount, and um, there was a lot of like music artists, and I got to meet some of them because I
Awesome.
did backstage security, so that was
Oh,
kind of
that's a
cool.
cool job. That would be an awesome job.
Yeah, I got to meet Sugar Ray, and
Oh my God,
um,
really?
I got to talk with them backstage and stuff. So
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah, I was young when I did that, so and it was really it was actually my first security job, and
That's so neat.
they didn't pay well, but they had really good training because they trained with they hired the same company that the Santa Clara Police Department hired for their training. So
Yeah.
we had like baton certificates, and we had mobile training, and we got to use like real police cars. And
Oh, cool.
um, whenever we had concerts, we were given the police department's radios instead of
Oh,
our
yeah.
regular radios. So
Well, that's pretty
it was
neat.
kind of cool. Yeah, because they worked side by side with them, so they made us like have to learn how to be like very professional, which
Oh,
has gone downhill since they like the city took over and Paramount doesn't do it anymore. So
oh,
their
it's too bad.
security isn't like that anymore. But it was really neat. I'm glad I got had the experience to do it.
Boy, yeah, I would be too. That sounds awesome.
Yeah. So those are some of the ghost stories I've had that were really
Yeah,
crazy
that.
for me.
Yeah, a lot of them seem really crazy.
Well, like you said, as being sensitive, the difference. Like, and
Yeah.
it even makes it more intense when you know
Oh,
feel it,
definitely.
and yeah. So yeah, those are the ones that I've had.
Yeah, yeah, especially when someone like you're really, really you're sensitive. Yeah, I totally agree. It sucks sometimes.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you just don't want to feel it. You don't want to know. I guess something like that.
Right. Yeah. Well, when I was small, I always didn't want to know,
Yeah,
but it was there regardless. And I always say, I think kids are much more aware.
me too.
Like, I know when my daughter passed away,
Oh my God,
right
I'm so
after
sorry.
right after she passed away. She had passed away from SIDS, and my son was. I was very young when it happened. I was a teenager when, and right after she passed away, my son was older than her, so he was like almost 3,
Yeah.
and um, he had my sister used to come over and ask for the baby, like to take her over to her house, and we lived in apartments that were right across from each other, and so
Yeah.
I'd say, "Oh, yeah, go ahead," and so, and my sister would joke with.
What
So
the
when it
hell was
happened,
that?
well, she was just playing, like,
No, no, I
like
mean,
just joking. Oh,
you just talked, and it sounded like a man. What
oh,
the hell
really?
was that? Did you guys hear that in the audience? Oh my God. That was scary. Like
I
someone
didn't
thing
hear
took
it.
over your damn voice. What the
Oh my
hell?
goodness. It might
Wow.
be the bad service or something. I don't know.
I don't know, but that was creepy.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah, everyone heard it. That was
Okay.
freaking It was like, rah, rah, rah. Shit.
Oh, I can't hear it because I
Oh
can't
my
hear,
God. Every time I talk ghost and I have someone on panel, something happens.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's so weird. Well,
Yeah, the
the other
last
day I
one.
had like, I remember I put in the chat that my door slammed like 5 times.
Yes.
I was like, "What is going on?" And so I ended up finally, I was like, "I've had enough of this." So I tried to like put a string around the door and
Yeah.
tied it so it wouldn't shut. I was like, "That's enough."
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
That's what Brittany's like. There was a demon on that mic. Like, I know it sounded like one, didn't it? Holy. It was slowed down and it was creepy. You're gonna have to rewind it at
Yeah, I'll
at
watch it after.
1 hour, 16 minutes. Okay.
Yeah, I'll
And
watch
it
it.
will be right around there. That
I'll
is
go back and check it. That is weird.
yeah. It's always something.
Oh,
Last time was Lori was on my panel and there was a little girl that said, "Help me." It was
oh
freaking
my
creepy.
goodness.
Yeah.
That is creepy.
Yeah. And now this.
I didn't know about that one. Did you see the thing about the little ghost from the live yesterday or the day before?
Oh, the little boy. Whoa, there it goes again.
Yeah, I just heard something like I could hear something like it sounded like it was I don't know
That's
what it was, but I heard something. It sounded like I don't know, interference.
yeah.
Did you see that? The ghost thing?
Yeah. Wasn't it a little I can't remember like right now it's the baby's been found, right? You're talking about that one?
Ro- No, I didn't hear he's been found.
The oh my
He
God,
has?
what's this? The yeah, he's not here
Leilani
right now.
and
Yes, that yeah, and
Quentin?
that was the they have the photo of his ghost. I'm like, wow. I
Yeah,
did see
I
that.
was like, "Wow." When I
Quentin,
saw the
that's it.
video, I was like, at first I thought it was light, and then when I saw it like put over again in slow motion, I could see
Hmm.
like the it looked like little legs, and I was like, "Oh my
Yeah,
goodness."
it was Quentin's
And I was
ghost. Yeah,
like, "Wait, that couldn't be light because it went behind him." And if it was
exactly.
reflecting, it would have been in front of him, not behind him. I was like, "Oh
Yeah.
no, that's creepy." Yeah. Oh, so like that thing was so when that happened, when I was telling you, my son one day he was like my sister she had right like she was pregnant and right after my daughter passed she had a baby and it was a girl and I saw all her kids when they were born but that was the only one I couldn't go see because I was like it was just too raw for me and
Yeah.
then I don't know like um maybe like 2 weeks after she was born or a week or two after she was born she got meningitis
Oh
so I
my God.
did go and see her and she survived and everything and she
Wow.
became like my closest like they named her her middle name Mackenzie which was my daughter's name and so we were really close I used to take her and like I took her on trips and I even she went to college at the college that I went to so and her parents really didn't take care of her, and she paid for their orientation to go with her to the orientation, and then they like flaked on her at the last minute. And she
Wow.
called me and she's like, Auntie Marcy, will you go with me? And I'm like, yeah, I'll go with you. Of course I will, honey. I'll take you absolutely. And I went with her. So we've been really close like her whole life. And um, but when she was a baby, she was sitting in the bouncer, and my son was 3 at the time, and he was just staring at her like, and he wasn't like, he had been sitting there a good like 20 minutes, and for a 3-year-old, that's a long time.
That is a very long time.
And I finally was like, Bryson, or not Bryson, Robert. I was like, well, Robert, what are you looking at? And he's like, Mackenzie's in her eyes.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, what? It just,
Yeah,
yeah. He's like, yeah, Mackenzie's in her eyes. And I was like, wow.
that is cool.
And for a while, he was convinced that my sister had stolen his baby
Oh,
because she used to tease him. So, yeah.
oh, no, no, I can understand that.
Yeah. But she didn't tease him like me, she
Yeah.
never knew, she couldn't have known what was going to happen, but
Yeah.
yeah. So that was like, yeah. So kids are definitely more sensitive.
Yes.
But, when they're babies and you see them like staring off into the.
Oh, yeah, they're totally open-minded.
Yeah, they can see whatever's around.
Yeah.
Like animals too.
Yep.
Yeah. So, have you been following those cases? Like the Quentin case and
Not really. It's a little much. I don't know. I thought that
yeah.
he was found in the garbage, like in the dump, was he not?
Well, I know that's where they're looking, but I didn't hear
They
that he was found yet.
Okay, so they still, I assumed that they did. That's my bad.
They've been looking for him for a few weeks, but as far as I know, they hadn't found him. But they're still out there protesting, and it's kind of sad because like I mean, I get the protesting and everything. People are mad, but on the
Yeah.
other hand, like there was a really old man that was like begging them to stop. He's like, "You're ruining my life," and that man looked like he was like
Oh,
80 plus, and he's like, and then there was like they had an ambulance show up that there was a lady on hospice,
yeah.
and they ended up having to move her so she could die in peace. And
Wow.
I was like, that is so sad. Like she can't even die in
Yes.
her own home.
Yeah, it
And
is.
people are like, oh, well, the ones that are there are like, well, they should have done something for this kid. And I'm like,
I get
they're
it.
old.
Yeah. Sometimes it's just too much,
Yeah. And I'm like, I get, why not protest in front of the police station or,
Yeah.
I mean, or protest during the day, not all night.
Yeah, not all night. It should be, I understand freedom of speech, but it shouldn't be all damn night.
Right.
All day's bad
Well,
enough.
they're getting like a few of them have been arrested, and I've written in the chat like legally speaking, they have the freedom to
Yeah.
because of protest, but if the Supreme Court has ruled that if it's fighting words, which a lot of them are using fighting words, they're like, I'm gonna kick your,
Yeah. See, that's
then
not
that's where it's no longer freedom of speech at that point.
no.
So they're legally, but I don't think they only know, oh, well, we have the freedom to, but it's the same thing as like, you can't run into a burning building and yell fire, or not,
Yeah.
a non-burning building and yell fire, like theater. You can't run into a theater and yell fire when there's no fire.
Exactly. And the police are doing stuff. Like they're on it. They're looking for this little boy. They're on it. They're not just
Absolutely.
sitting there. And I know they want to get an answer, but if it hasn't worked yet, I don't think they're going to break them down. Like if they're going to protest, fine, protest, but there's got to be a limit. People need
I
to
think
live
they're
their
just
life.
trying to make sure that they have a solid case. I do understand, like personally, I think they could arrest her for something else, like child endangerment,
Yeah.
like they did with Casey Anthony.
Exactly.
That's what they're afraid that, like they're afraid that she's going to get off like Casey Anthony did, or
Yeah,
And
probably. I hope not.
yeah, I do too. I'm like, I couldn't believe when she did an interview and she's like, if they find anything, I will turn myself in and I'll drive myself to the police station. And I'm like, so
She's
in
pretty
other
much
words, she's
confessed
saying,
then. Wow.
if they find evidence, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Well, then there
really?
is evidence if you're saying that. Like, really? Wow.
Right. It's like, okay, it's how her words, her exact words were, if something comes up, I think that's what were her exact words. But
Wow.
I'm like,
There shouldn't
okay,
be
so,
anything that would come up if you're innocent. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say that if I was innocent.
right,
That's insane. That just proves the point
right,
that she's definitely guilty. And that makes me feel sick to my stomach. Wow.
right. And I'm like, I know, like, and this is a trigger warning that, I know when it happened with my daughter, and I was young, I was a teenager. I woke up and and she was already blue, and
No.
and already, she'd already gotten stiff, and I didn't. She had passed away from SIDS, and so I woke up, and that's how I found her. And I didn't like go, oh, let me go dump her in the garbage. Like
Exactly.
my first thought was 911, and
And
then
then
I'm
probably
like,
had a mental breakdown.
I'm sitting there on the phone with them, and they're telling me to do CPR and how to do it, and I'm doing what they say, and I'm just like begging her to wake up, and I'm freaking out. And then when the ambulances got there, I I remember running across and like I asked, "Can I get my sister?" And I was like, I remember like banging on her door, her whole body,
Oh my
and
God.
they're like, "Oh, is it?" They screamed because the way I was banging, and
Yeah.
I was like, the baby's not breathing," and they came running out. And by the just in the amount of time that it took us to run from, like, it was in between our doors was just a little basketball court, and the
Yeah.
amount of time it took us to run that far, they were already outside and they wouldn't let us back in, and they told us that she was already gone. And I'm like, no, you go back in, and I'm like, please just go back in and make it happen, make a miracle, save
Yeah.
her. You can do, miracles happen. Obviously they couldn't have, but in that, as a mother, you have those
As a mother,
instincts that
yeah.
you just want anything. Like, I wanted to believe that something could fix it, something could make it better. And so I'm like, no, these mothers that do these things, and then there people are like trying to excuse it, and I'm like, no, that's not how a mother reacts in those
No,
situations. It's just
not at
not.
all.
And
No.
no matter what, as a mother, you're gonna feel guilt for, I could have done this differently. I could have done that
Exactly.
differently. And I mean, I was like feeling guilty because, and I still carry the guilt to this day.
Even
It
though
was
it's not your
the
fault.
only time I ever laid my daughter on her stomach. I
Oh.
had come in late the night before, and I had picked her up, and she curled up to my chest, and
Yeah.
she was like, you know how they do, and
Yeah.
she got up to my chest, and I didn't want to make her uncomfortable. So when
Yeah.
I laid her down like that, and I made sure her face was sideways, so she wouldn't smother or anything.
Yeah.
But it was the only time I had ever done that. And so I carry that guilt, but I still
Well, of
didn't
course.
panic. And I mean, I panicked, but I didn't throw her out.
No, of course
So,
not.
like, I just don't, like, to me, that's like, no, I don't care if you do panic, that's still not, if you
No,
didn't
you
do
don't.
anything, your response would not be to do that. If you did nothing to your child, your response is going to be to try to do whatever you can to save that baby.
Yeah, not get rid of them like a piece of trash. Like,
Hey, I just don't understand defending it.
me neither.
I don't, yeah, I've been following that. And yeah, other, um, like I said, I saw that today on the other day. Yeah. There was like one person that had broke that, and I was like, oh, I gotta get hold of her. You know, there's another YouTuber, and he sounds just like you. He might be from the same
Really?
province as you. Yeah,
Oh, maybe.
he has
I
the
wonder
same
who.
accent. His they call him AB, but it's A Balance.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know who that is.
Yeah, I
Is
was
yeah,
like,
he
they sound
is.
the same.
He probably is. I'm wondering. Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like him. His channel's pretty good.
yeah. I just found him the other day. He was doing something on that other case, so I was watching.
Yeah,
I was
he's
like,
pretty good. There's
oh,
no
he
drama with
sounds
him,
just
so I
like
like his
Nikki.
channel.
Right.
His,
That's what I
there's
like
no
too.
drama on his channel. Yeah, like nothing. There's quite a few channels that do true crime, and then he's one of the ones I like because yeah, there's no drama. I like LB as well, but anyone else,
I
I
do too.
just yeah, there's a lot of them that really go for the drama, and I don't like that. It's disgusting.
Right. Me too. That's why I like your channel.
Yeah,
I like that it's not a lot of drama, and everybody's
no, I
very
won't allow it.
respectful, and yeah, everybody's very respectful. I went into the one that I went in today that was talking um about the other case, that
Yeah,
the Delphi case, and people kept attacking the creator, and I was like, are you serious? Like, why are they were so rude, and I was like, I've never seen this. Like, why are they attacking the creator like this? And he
wow,
wasn't doing anything wrong.
that's
And
horrible.
the only thing he did was say, like, I'm not going to allow you guys to put up pictures of his daughters because they're victims in this as well.
Hmm.
And so I'm not going to put up pictures of his daughter. And it made people mad. And I was like,
Wow,
and they were like being really hateful and saying awful things. I'm like, you need some mods to like put these people on timeout or something
that's horrible.
because that's not right.
No, not at all.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think that, but I like your channel because it doesn't have that. And I was really
Yeah,
surprised that there was that. But there,
yeah.
I've seen like, I know what you're talking about. There's certain channels that, yeah,
Hmm. Yeah.
they definitely
Stay
go
away.
after it. And right, I prefer not to watch that because it just gets me all upset.
Yeah, same here.
And I don't need the anxiety and the
No, that's why I just stay
stress.
away from it and do my own thing.
Yeah. What were you reading when I came in?
Oh, I've got this book. It's called Haunted London. I just love it. There's so many
Oh,
things in there that are I didn't know. There's like a lot of short stories. They're all true ghost stories. So it was really cool.
oh, I
Yeah,
want to
I watched
hear.
the beginning. Yeah. There this is I think the second time I read this book, maybe third, can't remember, but I plan on reading the whole thing throughout October. Well, the only what,
Yeah.
3 days we have left. Yeah.
Well, I can let you get back to it and I'll listen.
Oh, I'm probably just going to get off of here. I've been on here for about an hour and a
Okay.
half. So I'm thinking I'll do that. And I got something stuck in my eye. I can't get it out. And it's starting to really
Oh
hurt. So
no.
yeah, it's probably a freaking
Okay. I have to go make dinner anyways. My kids
okay.
are,
Well, thank you for joining me.
I gotta wash this. Oh, of course. Yeah, I'm glad I got the opportunity. I tried to be on there and I was like, "Hey, I need to email her because I realized afterwards I was like, what if she's in a different time zone? I didn't think about that. And so
Yeah. I'm
I was
Eastern
like,
time.
okay,
I'm
see, and I'm over, which would, like my dad, he
right
lives in
now it's
Vancouver and
8:38
we have the
p.m.
same time.
Yeah. Okay,
And
cool.
here it's 5:39, so yeah, or 5:38 because I set my clock an hour
I
or
was
a
gonna say
minute
what
early.
you're making supper at almost 9 at night, but it's not your time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, it's only 5 here. So, but yeah, that's what I thought about, and I was like, uh-oh, well, if it's a different time, I need to get a hold of her ahead of time
I
so that we
know.
can do this. And
It's okay. We
so
got
that's
to do.
why yeah. So, and well, at least now I know if I need to get a hold of you to do Facebook.
Yes. That or
Well,
I'm gonna
I
have to
did
do this
actually
every
look
day.
for I looked for your links, but I
Yeah.
didn't see any of the links. Like I checked a couple streams and I couldn't find any in the notes. So I was like, I don't know
It's in the
where, like your
it's in
other.
the about section and I've got my Twitter and my
Oh,
or no wait, yeah, I got my Twitter on
okay,
there and my email and I think that's it.
okay,
Yeah.
all
Here,
right,
so I'll put my name in the chat here for Facebook. So if anyone you wanna
okay,
get a hold of me,
yeah,
I don't care. I've already
yeah,
doxed myself, so it don't matter. So that's my name.
And you
that's
saw my real name.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
I'm not like those other assholes. I won't say a word. But that's
I
real
don't
name.
care that. Yeah.
It's in the chat.
My real name is, and you know what? My sister's name is Nicole. But
oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's what my name is,
And-
Nicole, and yet I've never been called Nicole for my family ever. It's always been Nikki.
And my sister was Nikki too, because growing up, my name, well, you saw my name is Marcella. So,
Yeah.
But growing up, everybody called me Marcy. So it was Marcy and Nikki.
Yeah,
And I still call her Nikki.
Yeah.
And actually, my son, my youngest son, Bryson, the one that I named the channel after.
Yeah.
His middle name is Nicholas.
Aw.
Yeah. So it was named after her. So.
That's cute.
Okay. Well, I will get off and let you go.
Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
that was
of course. I'm glad to. Thank you for inviting me up.
Oh, of course. I'll be doing like open panel all the time. I love it when people come up and share their stories, even if it's not ghosts or aliens, just anything. Miracles. I don't care. I love personal experiences. I think they're great.
Yeah, they are. Okay. I'm going to go.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And if you're
Have
around,
a good night.
Okay, you too.
Okay. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Bye. I'm writing down all your suggestions, Dead Legato. Thank you. So phone calls from the dead, and that's by EVP Man. The next one is the WKCR 89.9 radio signal today. Yeah, why? I didn't know, or I don't think I know about that one. I heard of it, but I don't know all the logistics. I don't know everything about it. Signal. Posted by Now You Know. Okay. Oh, what is it? The Holland? The Holland, Michigan UFO incident. Okay, that'd be cool too. Mitchell. That was cool, eh? Oh, hey, Heavenly Cow, don't watch from the bushes. We all love you. Yeah, they're good suggestions. So I don't know, look into it and we'll go live or something like tomorrow night. I'll probably be live every day. Sometimes I don't make a thumbnail. I just wing it. I just do it. But from now on, my lives are just going to be either paranormal or true crime. Anything KJ, I'm going to do just a short video on it. That's it. That way I don't have to be live and talk about her both. That's why I switched Wednesday. Usually Wednesday is Katie Joy live day. I'm not doing that no more. I'm just going to make a video. If there's stuff to like talk about, which there is, because she doesn't shut the fuck up. So there's something on her every single day. She makes a video every single day, like 3 times a day. So I'm behind. So yeah, I've got a video already made for tomorrow. So I'm just going to keep doing it every day, I guess, until I run out of stuff to do on her, which will be awesome. But I'm not going live about her again. I can't handle it. It's too much. The videos are quick and easy and to the point, and I'm done. Whereas this stuff I actually give a shit about. I love hearing people's stories, and I love doing the paranormal stuff. I think it's great. A friend of mine, so what we're doing is we're actually doing research on like sanatoriums and haunted hospitals and all that. And we both live in Canada. So she's doing her part where she lives, and then I'm finding shit where I live. And we're going to I'm going to go live, and then we're going to show you stuff and talk about it. I think it'll be pretty cool. So we're actually going to research this one. That's why I'm doing it, Crystal, because I can't handle it. I just can't no more. The stuff that comes out of her mouth, especially when it has to do with CSA, I can't do it. So from now on, I'm just doing short videos. The longest video I have made has been a half an hour. That's it. Yeah, everybody's been sick today. I have something in my flippin' eye. I'm telling you, it happens, I don't know, at least once a month, and it's usually a cat hair or something. It hurts. You're going to do some videos later? All right. I got the bell on, so whenever I see you go live, I'll head over. Can you post your channel, Deb, so that Lisa can go watch too? Hey, Lisa. I'm going to chase some kids while dressed as Huggy. Oh my God, you're crazy. No Huggy Wuggy. Damn, I want to see that though. Don't you love Dragon Mama's dog's name? It's Gatsby. I think it's cute. We have a haunted mental hospital in my area. There's a book about it from a nurse who. Oh, really? See, now I would love to read that book with you guys. Do you know the name of it? Because I'll get it from Amazon. I want to do. I already have this book on Jack the Ripper. It's the one. It's humongous. It's going to take a long time to get through it. But I wanted to read that. And then after that, I wanted to read the novel on H.H. Holmes. And then I wanted to have a discussion about it and see what you guys think, because I find those two very, very, very similar. Almost like they could be one person. I've always thought that. It's like the Zodiac too. I mean, they still haven't found him. Or the person who murdered John Benet Ramsey, still haven't found that person. You love that phone calls from the dead audio, because I love the idea of a ghost answering, "How are you?" with as good as a dead one can be. That's cool. Your husband got a lot of candy. We only get like 13 trick-or-treaters. When the teen come, yeah, you love to see the costumes. I do too. It is a theory, right, Bryson? That's why I wanted to read both novels and just kind of see. I really do think it might be, because it happened in the same era. I don't know. You have an autographed copy? I talked to the lady who wrote it. I'll have to find it. We should do that and get her as like a guest speaker if she'd ever want to, like after I read the book. Okay. Yeah, whenever you get a chance, and next time you're in chat, then just let me know. That would be awesome. I have my next giant costume planned from what. Yeah, there was times H.H. Holmes was on a ship with records and whatnot. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I've always felt like they were the same. I'd like to look into that. Like the book I have is just humongous. It's got all the photos. It's got all the letters and everything in it. All the crime scene photos. It's yeah. All right, I'm gonna go. I gotta get my Visine out and get this whatever the hell it is in my eye. It's bothering me. You guys have a great night. What's tomorrow, Saturday? I'll be back tomorrow. I'll go live. I already have a KJ video coming up for tomorrow at noon, but I'll probably go live anyways, and we'll do some more ghost talk. I think that would be fun. That's like my favorite topic. Yeah, we'll do that. All right, you guys have a great night. I will see you tomorrow. I'm gonna go live. Just don't know what time. Probably 7, like usual. I just haven't made a thumbnail, but yeah, I'll be sure. I probably will. I usually do. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye.